How do you handle regret?
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Some say you have to move past it or try to make up for what you did. But how can you live with yourself when every day your guilt makes you wish that you weren't alive? That's the question that We Did It answers. We Did It, or Bokutatchi Ga Yarimashita, is a psychological thriller manga written by Muneyuki Kaneshiro and illustrated by Araki Hikaru that follows this lively cast of friends that have to live with the guilt of knowing what they have done. Now, the author of this manga, you may have heard of him before. He's written a multitude of stories such as Blue Lock and Jigan, but We Did It unfortunately never garnered as much success when it's arguably his best work. But don't take my word for it. Take Isayama's. Bokutatchi Ga Yarimashita. The author, Kaneshiro Muneyuki, is my contemporary at Besatu Shonen. It's just such an incredible piece of work. Initially, I already had good feelings towards him because we started out together, and when I reached the middle of the story, I suddenly went, this manga is a masterpiece? I even got goosebumps. He created an unbelievable story, so I'm thrilled as his contemporary. You see what he said? A masterpiece. Now, does this manga actually live up to the standard? Well, it starts with the main character looking at some ass. I wonder if World War III will happen soon. But I don't want to die. I don't want to die until I've had sex. I don't want to die until I've scored 200 in bowling. And I need to watch Anime Talk next week. Damn. I only hope to keep on living. Now this is Tobio and his friends Maru and Isami. Now they're some pretty regular high school students. They make jokes with each other, actively embarrass themselves to make each other laugh, and of course, turn the other way when they see someone getting picked on. Realistically in this situation, what can you do when the herbivore is destined to be eaten by the lion? This truth cannot be helped. Not gonna lie, it's a pretty stupid quote, but it encapsulates Tobio's true emotions at this point in his life. Similarly, average is good. I don't have any dreams or goals I'm desperately chasing. I won't live like a fool, throwing my future to the doves like them. I hope I live a long, fun life. That's why I'm begging you idiots. Please don't disturb my average. After this, we're introduced to the final friend in their group, which is Paisen, who's a pretty charismatic guy who seems to always find the good in mistakes. Shortly after his introduction, he makes a deal with the group to decide who's going to get a haircut, and Isami ends up losing and having to go with Paisen. Shortly after this, as Maru and Tobio are walking, they notice the same bullies from the beginning of the day, messing with someone, and Maru decides,
Die! Seriously! Drop dead! Everyone from Yaba High should die!
Oh, crap!
Paisen ends up showing up in the nick of time and proves money really can solve everything. Immediately after this is where we see all of them go to the bowling alley, and you get to see how real the relationship feels. The way they laugh at each other, the way they don't. It all feels very genuine, and that's something I really enjoyed while reading this manga. Just how real the characters, emotions, and interactions feel. The next day, Maru doesn't end up showing up, and it leaves the characters pretty confused.
Phew, I was sweating.
Oh hey Isami, you had to go too?
Yup, had to get away from Paisen.
Looks like we both left him. Oh hey, have you heard from Maru at all?
Nope, not a thing. Did he go home?
Isn't that weird? Isn't he always the last one to leave?
Yeah. Could it be? Those Yaba High guys got him?
He got what's coming to him.
Man, you're the worst. Aren't you his friend?
I wouldn't want to be him. But anyhow, we almost got hurt back then. Will they have the last laugh here?
You good for nothing bastard.
Dumbass. Get off. Get off. Paisen, we're back.
I was very lucky to have nothing. Man, I sang my heart out.
I feel so refreshed.
By the way, why were you crying, Paisen?
Well, sometimes I cry singing all by myself, you know?
It's a lonely place, isn't it?
I don't know what you mean.
I'm hungry. Let's go get some meat.
Please, Paisen, let's go get some meat.
I'll get you the best A5 beef. We'll go in my car. Huh?
What's that?
Who left this here? Could it be a surprise?
I'm not so sure about that. Maru? It's the Yaba High delinquents, and they got back for what Maru said about them.
Delivery? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Those Yaba High guys really messed you up.
Should I call the police? Should I? Huh?
Yeah, do it. So this is how it is.
Tobio?
Those fuckers. Let's kill them. Now this is a story. How are these guys going to get back at the people that just did this to their friend? Bombs. I did not expect them to go a route like this. But the bombs actually seem pretty harmless, so they're not actually terrorists or anything, but their plan is now in action. They decide to sneak into Yabahai and place these miniature explosives all around the school, just in places to really scare people, not so much hurt them. What better way is there to get back at someone? At lunch the next day, they all meet on the rooftop to look over at Yabahai just across the road and are ready to go through with the plan. They flick a switch and a bunch of Yabahai kids come out angry at whoever did this. Just the reaction Tobio and his friends wanted. They start going haywire with the detonator, watching all the chaos unfold, and honestly having a pretty good time. They even hit the Gundam style while doing this. Then Paisen goes for an ultimate press.
Thank you very much. A chin should top it off.
What? In my life, I'm glad that it was average. How do you handle regret? We Did It follows the story of a group of friends that have to live with the guilt of killing 10 completely innocent people. Through each chapter of the story, it delves deeper into how incredibly messed up every character is. I'm not saying that for the effect of the video. I truly believe that almost every character in this manga is irredeemable, and that this accident was only the catalyst for them to become their true selves. All the emotions you see from these characters were hinted at earlier in the story, and through thick and thin, the story gives you hope for them to change for the better, but you can't help but feel like it's expected when they don't. That's something I love about this manga, how incredibly real it feels. There's some moments that happen that feel just so goddamn relatable, and these emotions are elevated by the art. Now the art in this manga is actually pretty good. Unfortunately, you can't find any high quality scans anywhere, and trust me, I've looked. But as you read the story, you begin to see how amazing the art style is and how it beautifully helps tell the story. The way the characters are drawn makes you feel uncomfortable, which adds to the uneasiness you already feel from the thrilling story. And out of almost every manga out there, I wish this could get an English physical release. Not just because I think it's better to experience manga that way, but because it's honestly beautiful how each volume ends thematically and how it fits the volume format so incredibly well. This is why partly I don't see if it can get an anime adaptation. Firstly, it's just way too dark of a story, and secondly, it might be too hard to adapt a story that tries to make you uncomfortable with its art style and character expressions. But it doesn't even matter, since this manga actually already has an adaptation. A live action adaptation. Now this, much more than the manga, is pretty hard to come by. It took me about an hour of searching, but was it any good? Not really. I'll get the cons I have with it out of the way. 1, they slightly changed the plot a bit. Some examples from the first episode are them making the story focus on the detective, introducing future plots too early, making one of the teachers a witness, and making the female love interest now go to the same school as Tobio. 2, it looks like it was made for a school project. 3, some of the scenes just feel out of place. And 4, it's pretty hard for this show to capture the same effect as the art. Now the pros. The acting. Now, not gonna lie, it can be pretty ass at some points, but it still delivers to me a similar feeling that the manga did. And honestly, it's kind of hard for me to judge this because I don't speak Japanese, but there's just one actor that gets into his role so well that I forget that I'm watching a J-drama. The actor is Makinyu, and just looking this up, he's Zoro in the One Piece live action. I knew there was something special about this guy, and I'm glad he's making it in the acting world now. And all the other cast in We Did It even played along with how amazing of an actor he is and notice him as the best in the show. So I felt like I should at least give him some credit for making this J-drama a bit more watchable. Another thing I loved about it is the music choice. Now, watching the karaoke scenes are much more enjoyable than reading the manga, and they even stay faithful to the exact songs mentioned in the manga. I was pretty surprised when they actually played Suade. But not just this. The background songs they play are some mythic pulls. Ed Sheeran, the Wreck-It Ralph song. Honestly, it's pretty fire. Now the OSTs are average, but the opening and ending are actually kind of good. I do admit they don't fit with the theme of the later episodes, but it does represent where the characters are coming from. Now, they probably work better as an anime opening, but it also works here. The song for the outro was specifically made for this show, and likewise is called the same name, Bokutatchi Ga Yarimashita by Dish. And just a little fun fact, the EP they released for the show had one of their most viral songs on it, and I don't know how much this affects it, but it's the most viewed song on this page with over 10 million subs. And of course, this is a banger as well. But I'm a bit sidetracked on my sidetrack. Lastly, something I like about the live action is how it tries to keep the dialogue and character interactions the exact same through the scenes of the manga. It shows a level of uncreativeness, but at the same time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this is a manga video. Let me get back to that. Now, Tobio's character is incredibly complex. I'd say throughout the story he is very morally ambiguous. You see him try to be an honest-to-God human being, but every time he manages to somehow screw it up. It's only towards the end of the story where you see him finally decide what kind of person he is going to be, and this development of his lands him in my top 10 protagonists in manga. This is partly because of, like I said earlier, how real this manga feels. Each decision he makes, besides a few, I can see myself making if I was in his shoes. And there's just one moment that I absolutely love, and it's not for some plot reason or some crazy moment. Tobio leaves the club room and looks at the sunset. I know this might be glazing, but after everything that happened before this, it just feels so nice to see a moment like this from him. A moment that shows we need to appreciate the little things in life, the things we might not typically notice but are truly beautiful. The fact this manga is able to deliver an effect like this is why I think this manga is a masterpiece. And there's even one moment where it was able to make me go from laughing out loud to shedding tears within the span of one chapter. And the ending to this manga perfectly fits the story. If you read it, you understand. Tobio's conclusion is a perfect fit for his character, and the final reason I think this manga is so good. So let me ask you this one more time. How do you handle regret? Do you pretend it never happened and move on with your life, or do you acknowledge it and try to change for the better? This is the question We Did It answers. A question that seems so obvious in the grand scheme of things, but becomes vague when you actually have to answer it. So let me rephrase that question in a bit more personal way. How are you going to change? If you want to find out any more about the story, well, there's a lot more. Maybe go read it for yourself. And I hope you were able to take something good away from this video. But, that's really it. Anyways, change for the better, stay humble, and subscribe.